So percentage-wise, between males and females, which of these genders really masturbate?
He only watched Game of Thrones so that he could forward to the sex scenes.
I want to one question.
Well, question you want.
So if masturbation was an artist, would it be?
The reason why lesbianism is more popular than gay, those who are gay.
Are you sure? Welcome everyone to an unfiltered discussion. I'm your host Vera, and today we are going to talk about a topic that's mostly heard about and discussed in some social places. Today on the Still Pod, we are going to clear the doubts, clear the myths, and then we are going to open up on this topic about self-pleasure and sexual health. On today's episode, I am here with some gorgeous, sexy-looking gentlemen sitting beside me, and I'm here with my co-host,
Burma Sumedu.
and
Akwasi
Oppong,
Oppong.
Akwasi. So we are here with Burma. We already know Burma. And then today our new and handsome-looking guy is Oppong Akwasi. Yes, and we are going to talk about masturbation. So stay tuned. We have here with us a medical expert, which is Dr. Oppong Akwasi. Dr. Oppong Akwasi, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you very much.
So on today's episode, we are going to talk about masturbation. And since you are a medical expert, we thought of it that you know much about it to educate us on this show.
Yeah.
So when we say masturbation, what was masturbation?
All right. Thank you for that question. In our current world, masturbation encompasses a lot of things. Previously, when we mentioned masturbation, the thoughts of people were geared towards a few things. But just so that everybody understands what masturbation is, for people to be clear on what they are doing, which may fall under masturbation, we are going to try to touch on a few things. So when we say masturbation, it's just any act which has the end goal of bringing self-pleasure. So let's say a lady, a guy, or anybody at all tends to, in quotes, touch themselves. And it doesn't only have to be their genitals. Of course, their genitals are the primary area of focus, but any part of their body where they can touch to excite themselves in a sexual manner, that is masturbation. And previously, we used to think that when we talk about masturbation, it always has to end in an orgasm. But these days, with the advancement of medicine, when we say masturbation, it doesn't necessarily have to end in an orgasm. Once the person has attained some level of sexual pleasure from touching themselves, it can be any part of their body. It can be their genitals, it can be their ear, it can be their anus, any part of their body. Once that person derives sexual pleasure from it, and it doesn't necessarily end in an orgasm, we can term it as masturbation. So that is a general overview that I would give you. Hear your question.
So I want to ask you a question. Why is it that this such activity is very common? Like, why is it common?
Okay. Now, whether we like it or not, our world is plagued by sexual stuff. Okay. And everybody at some point in time would want to attain some level of sexual gratification. Okay. And there are so many avenues to do that. But you see, masturbation gives you an avenue where you avoid reality, where the actual struggles that you'd have to go through before you can attain sexual gratification, you can bypass them because you are in your own room, in the comfort of your own space. You can do anything that can pleasure or give you pleasure without you having to engage in, like, without you having to face the dangers of being bound and all those things. So it is an easy avenue for people to always maximize. So that's why masturbation is so rampant in our society these days.
Okay, Dr. Akwasi. Does masturbation have an effect on our sexual health?
Yes, very much. Masturbation has so many effects on our sexual health. To some extent, people may argue that some of these effects are positive, where, depending on where they are coming from, I may agree. But then largely, masturbation has negative effects on our sexual health. and there are myriad of them. I don't know if you can mention them now, or as we go on, they will come up. But then, based on your question, there are so many effects. Negative.
So we would like to know some of the effects that masturbation gives to us, right?
Okay. So many years ago, I think around 2010, there was a study that was done, and that was the basis of a lot of conversation which is generated around masturbation, and for that matter, porn use. I'll mention them interchangeably at some point because they are very closely linked. This study talked about the fact that when you compare people who ejaculated at least 21 times in a month, there was some benefits with regards to protecting them against prostate cancer, as against people who ejaculated less than 21 times in a year, or in a month, sorry. But then we got to delve deeper into that study, and we saw that, you see, within our normal body, there's different ways in which ejaculation happens. You can talk about at least 3 main ways. The normal penile-vaginal sex, which brings about ejaculation. Then there's also the nocturnal emissions, when what we normally call the wet springs, and of course there's masturbation as well. And this study tried to underpin the differences between these methods of ejaculation, and it came out that they are not the same. How somebody would ejaculate as a result of penile-vaginal sex is different from a nocturnal emission, and also equally different from masturbation. And so the positive effect I mentioned, which is not less than 21 times in a month, is true for penile-vaginal sex, but then not seen for masturbation. And so the first sexual effect I'll mention, which is negative, is not directly linked, but then a lot of masturbation, excessive masturbation, can lead to sexual dysfunction or erectile dysfunction. Mostly the direct link is pornography, but then pornography would lead to masturbation, and in that end, erectile dysfunction will also come about. And also, we've come to notice for males in particular, a lot of or excessive masturbation can bring about this condition, which has to do with the prostate health. Yeah, so prostate cancer and prostatic hyperplasia and all those things. Yeah, so those are some of the effects. And of course, aside the sexual effects, there's psychological, there's physical, and all those things. Yeah. So there are a myriad of negative effects that we get from masturbation.
Yeah, sometimes I think people feel like they can't control this masturbation. So I know people need help. It's very, I don't know. I think that masturbation is I can say it's along with drug addiction and cool, but it seems the society has made it so underrated and stuff. So how can these people handle masturbation? You know, to stop, because people need to stop. I know a lot of people, they want to stop masturbating, but they can't control it.
Very much. The way I'm talking here, I'm
speaking for the people.
Yeah. Man of the people. Yeah. It's true. You see, the way our society is, we are from a Ghanaian society.
Yes.
And a Ghanaian society which is moving into religion and culture.
Okay.
Religion and culture frown massively on masturbation, on pornography use, which I understand, I agree. But then within the same confines of culture and religion frowning on masturbation, what we have failed to realize is encouraging people to come up where they have these issues, to talk about them, to find solutions. Yeah. Because if somebody were to come on this podcast, and if not that this podcast were a safe space, the person were to mention that they have an issue with masturbation, hell would break loose. Yeah, so when you look at how our society is brought up, it makes it very difficult for people to own up. And alongside porn use, the main pillars which are founded in and rooted in masturbation are the fact that it thrives in secrecy. Nobody has to know about it, and it wouldn't hurt anybody because you are giving yourself pleasure. But then masturbation can cause relief, it can help you escape reality and all that. But these benefits are temporary. Beyond the temporary nature of these benefits, the person would deal with themselves. So the person is religious, there's the issue of guilt and all that. So I'm just coming from the angle where it makes it difficult for people to come out with some of these issues. Yes, but then I think we have to talk about it. For example, how we are doing right now, because then it brings people's attention to what the problem is, the issues and the dangers associated, and how best they can unravel the situation and help themselves. Yes. So yes, masturbation is an issue, we have to talk about it. We have to make people feel free that even if they have such issues and they come up with them, there are people, there are experts who are willing to help them and willing to ease them out of the situation and guide them in the appropriate way. So yes, that's how I would respond to your question.
Doctor, in this Gen Z era, do you think masturbation is still like stigmatized? Because people seem to take it as a normal thing.
Yes.
Do you get it?
Yes. It's a bit of both. I think there's still that stigma associated with it, depending on which area you find yourself in. Of course, within the confines of a church, within the confines of religion, it is deeply frowned upon. If someone were to be a youth pastor and one day they are preaching and they happen to mention that they are into masturbation, it has become a problem for them, you can imagine the negative reaction that it would arouse from the congregation. But then within ourselves, in a close-knit society, as boys, as friends, as colleagues who are within a certain firm, it is not stigmatized because people see it that it's normal. After all, our parents have always been questioning us against teenage pregnancy. So if I'm not going into anybody to cause pregnancy and I'm pleasurizing myself, it's something that is okay and it's well acceptable. So I think it can be a bit of both. It just depends on where you are coming out from. But my issue with whether it is stigmatized or not is however we decide to position it. The most important thing is we make the avenue easy for people to come up with their problems and know that they are well appreciated, know that they can receive help where there is a need. So it can be stigmatized or not, depending on that situation.
Okay, so how best can you advise someone who masturbates? And can we actually advise someone about masturbation?
Yes, it's a very good question. Yes, affirmative. Someone can be advised. If anybody out there is listening to this talk and they are suffering from masturbation, they have realized that it has become an addiction. The truth is, you can change the course. It's not too late. Sometimes you see some of these issues, the way we are brought up, we think once we fall into the trap, that's the end. But then I am encouraging each and everyone. It's not easy, but then you can come back from it. And how would I advise such an individual? First of all, you have to identify your triggers. It's something that is least talked about because everybody knows their triggers. I remember way back in SHS, I think that was when this series had come up very freshly. Forgotten Game of Thrones. Yes. And this colleague of ours was so bold to talk about the fact that he only watched Game of Thrones so that he could forward to the sex scenes. And of course, once he's engaged in those sex scenes, masturbation would follow. Yes. So for such a person, the trigger is movies. I know people who are easily triggered by raunchy lyrics in music, people who are easily triggered by the comics that they see, people who are triggered by different things. Even if a lady were to pass by right now and the lady is dressed in a sexually revealing way, it will be a problem for
pictures
them. Exactly. So know yourself as an individual, know what triggers you and know how you can fight the trigger. And the second thing I would add and conclude on that question is we have to try and find a way to deal with our sexual tension. I always say that, especially in this youthful stage of our lives, it's very normal for us to always feel sexually upbeat, to always feel like, oh, we want to try our sexual edges, to explore them, to see how our fantasies will take us. But then we should know how to deal with the tensions, because it is an easy way, it's a new way for you if you want to masturbate. But again, it is temporary. The relief, the stress, the distressor you get from it is just temporary. Beyond that, it becomes a habit, it becomes an addiction, and that is when you really suffer. So find positive ways of dealing with your attention, with your sexual attention. Sorry. As a guy, one of the easiest ways is how we engage in football. It's a very easy way of distressing yourself. You've gone through a hard day's work, you are watching your favorite football team. Even if you lose, that kind of pleasure it gives you, especially when you are watching with your colleagues. Find positive reinforcement so that you don't engage in masturbation, because if it becomes an addiction, that is when it becomes an issue. So one, identify your triggers, run away from them, and two,
identify your triggers.
Exactly. Identify your triggers is the most important thing. And adjust and deal with your sexual tension as well.
But some people know you know that this is their trigger,
yeah,
but they end up doing it.
Yeah.
So this one is spirit or what?
Yes.
Like this one. Yeah, this one. So like
You
you know
see,
what?
he's
Yeah.
talking about those who watch movies and they are triggered.
Yeah.
You can't tell someone to stop watching
Watching
movies.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that kind of person, no, it's
How?
difficult.
Yes.
It's
Anyway, still identify your triggers.
Yes.
yeah.
So identify your. So percentage wise,
Yeah.
between males and females, which of these genders really masturbate?
Okay. Previously, some years ago, masturbation was tagged a guy's problem, of course, and rightly so, because it was skewed in the direction of that about 90 to 10. But then these days, it's quite funny and also alarming at the same time, because it's slightly still in the favor of men, but then somewhere around 60-40, and the tides are rapidly turning towards the ladies. And it's because when we're beginning, I talked about what masturbation encompasses. I tried to explain all the activities which can be tagged as masturbation. And we realized ladies are into it a lot. The reason why previously the percentages were more skewed towards the guys is because of how we define masturbation. These days, education encompasses a whole lot of things, and that's where the ladies are coming in. So currently around 60-40 still towards the men, but then it's gradually becoming a female's problem as well.
A man,
So
the ladies,
Yeah.
what is causing this? Because as a lady, I don't know what will cause that thing.
it be broken out.
Nah,
Because me, I know a friend, and she was like the boy not 18 and stuff.
So because of that,
she has to buy a dildo and satisfy herself.
Yeah.
She'll be fine.
should be okay.
Instead of stressing herself over, I think
And a man, no, yes.
the same applies to men.
Yes.
But then
Those who
you
can't-
guys, I don't know how to put
Yeah.
it. Like, say, pardon my tree, but then
Yeah.
you see a guy, for him to approach a lady and be bounced, and call them masturbate.
Exactly.
But as a girl, the boy is looking for you. So like, I don't know, you
How?
know, yeah.
Okay. So this is the how. It's a bit of science, and the reason is, I don't know if we know this, but then between a guy and a lady has several portions of the body which are sexually erotic.
Yeah.
Yes. You would be surprised you would touch a lady, not even her private parts, on a certain part of her body, and she'll be sexually aroused.
Perfect.
Those erotic portions of the body are way more in females than in men. So going back to the intro we made about what masturbation actually encompasses, where we mentioned any part of the body at all which can be aroused sexually by touching or by the use of enhancements, the dildos and all those things, falls under the category of masturbation. That is why these days the ladies are coming more into the picture, and not just about the genitals. And even when you go to the genitals, the reason why lesbianism is more popular than gay, those who are gay.
Are you sure? I'm
Yes.
sure lesbianism is more than
Yes.
gayism.
No, the lesbianism. I think the society is really accepting lesbianism more than the gay. That's why you're saying that.
Yes. So the reason, the idea behind it is because there is a theory, and it is quite proven, that when a lady is into another lady and they are having intercourse, it is very easy for the lady to pleasurize the fellow lady than the guy. It's a fact. The reason being that they know themselves better, and they know which areas of their body can easily be aroused sexually. So it's a similar concept with regards to this masturbation and why it is coming up more in the ladies. So you realize some of these things you are mentioning, a lot of people are in the dark when it comes to some of these things, how they come about. So it's very good that we've made time to talk about these social issues.
So masturbation, is it a thing for only single people or married people? Those who are married, do they masturbate?
Everybody masturbates.
You correct.
Of course. Again, the skewness is more towards those who are single, but then married people masturbate a lot, and most of the time the situation which arises in married couples and why they will tend to masturbate at the expense of their spouses is because of lack of sexual gratification. what we can term as sexual incompatibility.
Okay.
For whatever reason, maybe due to porn use previously or anything at all, if one spouse believes that the other is not able to sexually match their energy, they need enhancement. They need things which can arouse them in a way that no sane human being can. And I'm using my words carefully, sane, because these days the levels to which we can go to pleasurizing ourselves, expecting people to arouse us sexually, it's a sin.
It's very crazy.
Yes, so that is the situation which normally arises in marriage and constituting married couple. But then aside that, mostly it's due to it's more common in single people. I don't say.
Masturbation.
Yes,
That was very interesting.
Judgmental. Most of us are always judgmental.
Yeah,
You don't know why someone is going through that.
Yeah.
It's not like do
Yeah.
you understand? So if you have a friend or a family member who engages in masturbation, draw the person closer, draw me closer and ask the person. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because we are mostly judgmental, that's why people don't come to us to tell us what they are going through.
Yeah.
Society is so judgmental. And then it's becoming bad. Okay.
I want busy one question.
We're questioning your own.
So if masturbation was an artist, would it be? How
Masturbation was an artist. Who will it be?
Yes.
All of them. All of them.
Like choose one.
It's them today.
Okay, what about the Ghanaian artists? Like
Ghanaian artists. I don't even know them. Ghanaian artists.
mm-hmm.
No one told them.
Chatawanyana.
Nah. Who's
One of you would say in like
Ghanaian? No, Ghanaian.
Like,
I can't pinpoint a Ghanaian artist.
Okay, I'm not so good with the names and their profiles, but then let me kind of describe who masturbation would be in the shape of an artist. Maybe you can get it. Okay. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It could be.
For me,
For so many reasons.
Yeah.
don't come
That's
for me.
true.
You know why I'm saying this?
Yes.
You all know the trending song. Please,
Yeah.
don't come for me. Oh.
Yeah. When you say that's what
I'm not getting the Lutude part.
Please don't come for me. So, thank you, Dr. Akwasi
Thank you.
Oppong, for being on our show today. Reflect a lot.
Yes.
We should know our triggers. We should stop stigmatizing people.
Yes.
And then we should stop being judgmental, okay? And then if you've been masturbated and you are seeing signs of infection or don't keep it to yourself. Know your pharmacist, okay? At least look for one pharmacist and
You can consult doctor.
to me. You can come to Dr. Akwasi Oppong. We'll put his number on the screen.
Yeah.
If you are facing any challenges, you can contact him. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you,
me.
my
So,
co-host. And
Yes,
thank you, my
sir.
lovely viewers. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
all right.